Happy birthday, Sagittarius. Thank you so much for stopping by. I am Elena Valdez and super excited to be doing your solar return wheel for your birthday. So what I'm going to do here today, well, actually, before I continue, please take a moment to subscribe and like the content, of course, if you like it at the end of the video. But anyhow, let's continue with your reading. So what I'm doing here for your birthday is I'm actually going to be using the astrological wheel. So I will be pulling a card for each house of the zodiac wheel. So that would be 12 cards. And each house represents a theme in your life. So it'll all make sense as I start pulling the cards and begin the reading. So let's get started. So one card already fell out. We just need your first 6 cards. I hope you're all celebrating as best as you can, considering the current limitations, right, that we all have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then we'll pull the second half. One, 2, 3. And you can't see the wheel, but what I'll do is I'll take a picture of it and I will set it up as a thumbnail so that you get to see the actual cards. And of course I will show them to you during the reading, but if you want an actual picture, you'll get it afterwards or on the thumbnail. So, and one more card for your 12th house. I felt that. Okay. So, and depending on how much time we have at the end of the reading, I may just go ahead and pull a card for what your inner child needs most from you at the current time. All right, so let's get started. Super excited. Okay, so let's start with your first house. And the first house, basically in astrology, it represents our physical appearance. It also represents our physicality, our physical energy, as well as how other people view us and sometimes in how we view ourselves. And it really sets the tone for our chart in terms of your actual natal chart. Now, of course, this doesn't represent your actual natal chart because it's a tarot reading solar return. It's quite different. If you do wish to have a solar return, your solar return chart read, let me know and message me and we can set something up. Also, another thing I do want to mention about this reading is that because it's a solar return year reading, it's good from this birthday until your next birthday. So a lot of these themes that we're going to talk about, you'll see as the year unfolds and develops, depending on the specific houses that we're talking about. Okay, so let's get started with your first house. So the first house, you have the 10 of Swords. So what this tells me, I hope you can see that. I think you can. The 10 of Swords is about reaching the end. Well, first of all, it means that there's been a lot of, in this scenario, because we're talking about swords, literal mental anguish. Makes sense given everything that we were all going through, right? But with the 10 of Swords, it also indicates coming to the end. So when it falls in your first house, which again, the first house is how other people view us, as well as our physical vitality, as well as the our general mission, if you will, like our general purpose as to what we're here. Like it really sets the tone for everything else thematically. So if this is coming up, it means you're coming at the end. This is a good card to start off with. It may not seem like it, but it is, because what it's saying is that you're entering this new solar return year. Yes, having had to deal with some not so fun stuff in your life the past year, but you're coming at the end of it. So you may still be in this energy, I would say probably the first 2 months coming into your birthday. This can mean, this can sometimes, it follows the Nine of Swords, and the Nine of Swords is about sleepless nights and having nightmares, and maybe a lot of restlessness when it comes to sleep, and a lot of mental anguish and activity. So the 10 is still there in that energy, but it's really starting to come out of it, or you're starting to see the possibilities. I'm getting very strongly that this is about depression. And so for those of you who have suffered some form of depression, this is saying that you're either getting the help that you need in these next 2 months, whether it's psychologist or psychiatrist, or any meds that you may be needing, that it looks like you're coming into some kind of resolution or solution for this mental anguish that you've been sensing. I'm really picking up strongly depression, and I know a lot of people have recently, but it's more psychological, it's emotional, it's heavy. But the good news is this means you're coming out of it. So that's great news. And then we move into your second house. The second house represents our finances, our investments, but more importantly than that, it really represents our self-worth and our value. And this second house represents how we show up to others in terms of our value, how we support our own self-worth in the eyes of others, but also tangibly, right? And how it translates tangibly. Because remember, the second house at the end of the day is all about resources. And resources, the crux of resources is energy. And, that's our, the energy converts to other resources, right? Our energy that we put into something, our time, our effort that we put into a job, a situation, people, convert to other things, other resources, like sometimes it converts into investments, sometimes it converts into money, sometimes it converts into friendship, because you're putting time and effort into something. So the second house, I would say thematically, we're talking about resources, self-worth, and investments. So for you, you got the Page of Pentacles. Oh my gosh, what a great card to get in that area. So a couple of things here. It feels like you're starting something very new in terms of your finances, in terms of also what I'm getting here, and it makes sense following this card, right? Because the page is the beginning stage of something. It's the amateur. So, and Pentacles is all of that that's tangible, and it's perfect in the second house because we're talking about resources and tangibilities, right? So when you get the page, it makes sense that it would follow the Ten of Swords, because it's, if you have been feeling down, it's almost like there's a sense of starting over with your value system, with your self-worth. So the page, it's a positive card because you're starting from the beginning, and you've got the potential can be huge, right? So this is a great card to start off the wheel in terms of the second house. It also indicates learning new habits and learning, creating new patterns in terms of your own self-worth and value. So perhaps whatever is helping you here in your first house, whether it's a therapist, whether it's new friendships, new community, or just your own, you might have read something that just all of a sudden created this breakthrough within you. Whatever it is that's working for you, that's helping you get pulled out of that energy, that first house energy that we started off with, this is a great indication that it's like you're taking the baby steps, right? And it's working because it's positive. That the Page of Pentacles is the beginning of accessing the tangibility. But it's also the beginning of a project that has to do with resources. So it could be your, maybe starting to invest in something, or learn about investments, or learn about money and how to invest money. And also the page, I do want to say something. The page is, to me and my perspective, when I view the page, it's very fragile and vulnerable still, because it's in its infancy of growing the pentacle, right? Now, it's not an infant, I know that, but in terms of the theme of the pentacle, it is in its infancy. So with the Page of Pentacles here, what it's saying is, what I'm picking up is, whatever this is that you're working on, whether it's your self-worth, your value system, new changing patterns in your mind about how you view yourself, because again, that translates into our financial resources, right? Or this new business that you're starting, or a new idea that you're going to start, or new home that you want to buy, because all of that falls in the second house. And I'm talking about homes specifically that have to do with investments, not so much the home we live in. It can be interchangeable. But whatever that is, what I would like to say here, and I heard, treat it like that newborn baby. Treat it like the infancy that it is. In other words, incubate it, protect it, and be very, because you are still new to this new way of being. You know, you are so vulnerable. So be cautious and be mindful of who you are allowing into this space of whatever that is. So if you are feeling that you're starting to gain confidence, you're starting to feel your optimism again, be mindful of who you're spending time with and who is absorbing, who's taking away from that energy that taps into your value system. Also, if you're working on something very precious to you, that's a new business or something else, be very mindful who you share that information with, and just protect it, just incubate it like you would a little baby that requires that attention. Okay, that's what I'd like to say for that. And it's coming in strongly. So, all right, let's move on to your third house. Okay, so your third house, you got the King of Swords. This is great for the third house. So third house is all about, third house is early learning. It's the grammar school we went to. It also represents our siblings. It represents our neighbors. It represents our mental capacity. So like our ability to write, our ability to communicate, media, all of these great things. It also rules thematically the third house, short-term travel, meaning like anything like a month or less that you're traveling to. And when you have the King of Swords is being in full self-control of those things that have to do with communication. Sometimes the King of Swords can also be brutally honest, which is great. But what I'm picking up here is, for those of you who are going into some kind of work that has to do with writing, or communication, or a new position or business that has to do with using your mind, your intellect, proper grammar, all of that stuff, even teaching actually, or also being the student, because both the third house and the ninth house are teacher-student houses as well. So some of you are going to be teaching. And this is an encouraging card to get in the third house, because what Spirit is saying is, yeah, you've already mastered whatever it is you're going to teach, or whatever it is you're going to learn. This is the time to do it. It's the perfect time to do it, because you're all there in the sense of your capability to absorb the information, your capability to communicate the information. You're on top of your game when it comes to that. And I want to remind you, even if you may not feel it, the minute you take the action and you go towards it, it'll be confirmed that you're on the right path, okay? Because I do pick up that there's some of you who are wondering. This could be writing lyrics. This could be writing a book. This can be also more communication than usual with your siblings and also with your neighbors. It can also mean, though, because the King of Swords is very stern. It says what it means, and it means what it says, right? He, she, it doesn't matter your gender here. This is not gender specific. So with the King of Swords, because he's so powerful and stern in who he is, he could rub people the wrong way sometimes, because he's very direct and very honest. So you may also find that in terms of siblings and neighbors, you may be into some situations where either A, you're communicating for the first time and you're with a new neighbor that you've never met before and creating friendships and partnerships that way, or having some stern conversations with neighbors or siblings that you prefer not to have, but you have to have them. Also, by the way, I failed to mention that this third house also covers our coworkers that we see on a daily basis. So that could be a thing too, that you go to work and you have a thing. It could be the barista you get your coffee from every day. It's like the everyday going-ons that we do. Not the everyday routines like the sixth house. This is the everyday going-ons. So like what you're used to doing as your day unfolds. See, so, I mean, as you're noticing, each house has more than one theme, right? It's like, this is how we have to look at it. So please make sure to apply it how it resonates the most for you or the best for you. Fill in the blanks there for you, okay? All right, so far, this is very powerful. Let's move on to your 4th house, Saggy. Very interesting. So you have the 9 of Wands. And the 9 of Wands is about exploring new territory, right? It's about determination in an area that you're exploring. So it could be something that you've already been working on. It could, and again, the Wands is actually, I didn't mention this, is about action. It's an action card. So Wands represents our physical vitality, our raw energy, movement forward. And when you have the 9 of Wands, the 9 of Wands comes obviously between the 8th and the 10th. And by the time you get to the 9, it's a card of exhaustion. It's a card of physical exhaustion. So in the 4th house being represented by your ancestry, your roots, family lineage, where you live at home, there's something heavy here that's going to require you to be very patient, very determined. Also, I would say, take a pause before you snap at anyone or do anything that, if something's uncomfortable happening in your home life with your parent, whatever parent represents your maternal parent. It could have been your father, it could have been your mother. You may have them either staying with you, you're staying with them, or there's an energy about your parental figure who represents the maternal side that's making you have to be very patient or determined in your philosophy or whatever it is that you stand for. Because what I'm getting here is, if this is happening in the home, you're having maybe a bit of a standoff with people you live with, or something to do with the home. It can also be you're going through construction and it's taking too long and it's just kind of messing with you a little bit. Or it can mean that something's going on with your family, your mother, father, whomever is the maternal figure for you. Something's going on with them. And I did just feel that some of you are dealing with health issues with your parent. It's really requiring you to don't give up, whatever it is that's needed from you. Keep your determination, keep focused, but more importantly, keep grounded. And keep grounded enough. You know how sometimes we're so physically exhausted that we lose all reason. Not only do we stop midway of something, but we also are not getting the downloads that we need to get from spirit, right? So here, what I love about this, you see how her wand here, she's determined, she's steady. The other wands are blocking her from moving forward, right? So there's like an impasse that you have come to. There's a pause. So like, for example, if you're the group of Saggies who are having construction in your home, or something happened in your home where, you have to wait 2-3 months for it to get fixed or whatever, you can't move forward with whatever plans you had with your home, or you can't comfortably live in your home. And so you're being, halted there. In the same way, if your parents are needing, let's say, for example, you have a parent who, I just got this for some of you. Let's say you have a parent who's sick who you can't go travel because of our travel bans to see, or someone who is so deeply dear to you that's like an ancestor or an aunt or a mom or family, and you can't see them. Just keep strong, keep determined. You see how she has that one wand. It's like the only one wand that she's really has this full control over, right? Because she's really on a lonely path here. So some of you may be feeling like you're alone in this. Whatever this is for you, you may be feeling almost a little bit helpless, but at the same time, you have a little bit of that defiance, that healthy defiance that's giving you the strength to keep moving forward. And at the same time of that strength that you feel, you are getting weary and almost wanting to give up. So Spirit is saying, don't give up. You're so close. You're almost there. But Spirit also wants you to remember to stay grounded and firm. You see how she is firm in that ground, in that earth. So if you need to do whatever nature is near your home, wherever you are in this part of the world, whether you're near a forest, near an ocean, near a lake, go ground yourself in earth. And if you don't have earth around you, like let's say you live in an apartment building or a condo, create a patch of, like I actually happen to live in a building, units and all of that. I don't actually have land to go out. So when I can go out for a hike, I will literally get a bag of like organic soil or go somewhere and get soil, create a little patch for myself on my balcony, and I will put my feet on that patch to earth. So whatever way you can ground yourself, do it. It can be as simple as meditation and envisioning, visualizing. For those of you who have done that meditation where you visualize your cord, the spine, the cord of your spine grounded deep into the earth, that's actually very, very strong meditation that can give you that extra oomph that you need, just that extra battery charge that you're going to need during all of this. I love this. Look at how strong she's tired and she's being blocked by those wands, but she's like, all right, I'm just going to pause right here. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to take a rest, but I will continue. Okay. So that's in terms of fourth house. Okay. So your fifth house. Ooh, I like it. Okay. So you're working on something. You're working on something new. You're working on a creative project. There's something going on. And when I say creative, by the way, it's not limited to, being an artiste or, singing songs, writing songs, or playing instruments. I'm talking about anything that requires us to create something new that's authentic to our energy and who we are. It could even be policies at work. You could put a new spin on it. That's very creative, that captures your employees' attention to want to do the right thing, right? I'm using that as an example, but there are a lot of artiste creatives that will watch this. So if you are writing something or if you are creating, this is a great space to do it. And it fell perfectly. It fell perfectly in the fifth house. And the fifth house is about creativity. It's about leisure also. It's about getting out and doing more hobbies. It's about having fun. And you got the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups really is emotionally driven, but not out of control. Meaning she's in control of her emotions, but her heart chakra is open. And even in this card, what I love, it's not only her heart chakra, but so is her crown chakra, which means she's allowing messages from the divine to come in and her intuition to guide her and lead her, right? So, there are some of you who are becoming more spiritual during this time frame. And, remember, this is your solar return reading. So it's from this birthday until next birthday. So some of you are a lot of you actually are becoming way more spiritual. Some of you are probably learning a lot about Reiki and other types of modalities in terms of moving energy. And you're really seeking that, and that's what you need. And it's interesting because the fifth house is also about children, by the way. So it could also be some of you are manifesting a child, and this could be by birth, but it can also be, through adoption, foster care, all of that. But at the end of the day, the crux of the fifth house is creativity, is bringing something forth to life that didn't exist before. It may be similar to something else that was created by someone else, but it will be different and new because you are putting your flair into it, and it's unique to you and who you are as a person. And that's what the fifth house is. So you're working on something, but what Spirit wants to tell you, and again, it's like a repeating message, is get clarity on that project, whatever it is you're working on, or that plan to adopt or have a child, or that new hobby that you want to take on. Also new business, because the fifth house also rules businesses, the businesses that we run with our own creativity. Before you move forth, make sure that you are grounded, again, like this here, grounded, and also spiritually connected. And a lot of you are thirsty for that, but don't know it. I feel like there's a group of you who have already moved forward, whether it's you're learning mantras, or you're learning how to meditate, or you're just learning how to commune with the nature in a way that is divine and sacred. You know, because spirituality is so personal, and it's going to be different for all of you. But just know that whatever this is that you're up to, that you're thinking about, I think you're in the beginning stages of it. And it is divinely guided, whatever it is. So just trust that. Continue on your road with that. Okay, so let's move on to, where am I? 6th house. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so the 6th house is all about our health, our daily routines. It's also about our work, like our actual job that we do. And you have the Ace of Swords. So again, you're getting these downloads. I have a feeling that some of you are coming into that. There's something, this may be very specific. It may be for a handful of you, but I do get this energy because the 6th house is also medicinal. It can also be natural, the natural way of healing ourselves. It doesn't, you know, some of you could be deciding you want to go into the medical field, and you're getting that download and that inspiration, but also for work, because the 6th house does represent work. You could be engaging, perhaps either interviewing with a new company, or creating work that's going to allow you to use your words, because Swords does rule that. However, I'm picking up this other thing for very few of you, that there are some of you who are getting into the medicinal realm, and it has to do with this initial issue that you got yourself into, that you were affected by, whether it was because you yourself experienced it physically, like for example, if you were going through depression or some other illness. And I'm not talking pandemic here, although it could be pandemic, but this could also be other things like, you know, MS, or, you know, things like that, that all of a sudden that introduced you, because the 6th house is about the remedies that we use and the healing and all of that. So you could have been introduced to remedies that you've never been exposed to before. And now, because these new things that you were exposed to, you are communicating about them, or you want to now make it your life's work because it inspired you in a way. This could be anything. It could be CBD. It can be whatever medicinal realm gave you the healing that you needed, right? Or will need. Because remember, again, I know I keep speaking in the past tense, but this is solar return year to next year. So it's a year. We don't know, right? The year's still going to unfold. But in any case, if it's not medicinal, it is about finding new ways, or perhaps you're reading new ways of taking care of yourself, because Swords is new communication coming at you, as well as you creating new forms of communication for other people to learn as well, right? So whatever this is, it's vibrant, it's divine, it's meant to be. It's this really beautiful progression that we have that we're going through. And a lot of these I'm going to come back to tie them in as we begin to unfold. So let's continue to the 7th house. And the 7th house, you got the Knight of Pentacles. And, you know, the Knight of Pentacles, it's beautiful, right? Look at that card. The Knight of Pentacles is all about steadily moving forward, like literally physically taking the action and moving forward to build financial wealth. So, and I'll get back to the 7th house and what that means. But in this case, in terms of the Knight of Pentacles on its own, it's about making a decision of how you're going to build that wealth. And not only making the plan, this is beyond the plan, this is moving forward. Now, it fell in the 7th house of partnership. Okay, so Pentacles is also about creating groundedness, right? But it's also about creating things that last a long time, that have tangibility. So if you got it in the 7th house of partnerships, and the 7th house, it's not just romantic partnerships, it's also other contractual partnerships. So it can be people that you go into business with, right? So this can be representing someone that you've decided, hey, you know, why don't we work on this book together? Or why don't we write this, you know, healing remedy on whatever it is that you're working on? Or why don't we do this, partner up on this new creative thing that we are both so interested in, right? So this is about something solid. So this is confirmation. If you are working with a partner to make these things come true, this is a good indication that you're on the right path. Also, though, the Knight of Pentacles can mean about formalizing an actual romantic relationship, making it a little bit more formalized. So you might be going from dating to now being engaged, or being engaged to being married, or maybe you're never going to get married, but you're formalize it because you're now purchased a home together, or have a bank account that you've opened up together, or had a child together. Whatever it is for you, it's going to be different, right? So on a personal romantic level, it's making whatever it is you currently have a little bit more solid and consistent. And it is about taking the action. You're taking the action. You're not just thinking about it now. You're not just assessing it. You're taking the action. And also, same goes if you have a partner. So for business partner, it's the same thing. You're both starting to invest into whatever this thought was, or whatever it was that you were having conversation about. Remember, this is a year long. So you may not even have started this conversation yet. You may not even know, right? This might not start until January, and all of a sudden by April, you're like, oh yeah, like we're in this contract because it's a year long. And a lot of you are already in the midst of it, or in the beginning stages of it. So that's your 7th house. Very, very nice energy, by the way, because partnerships is everything, right? Other people, how we get along with other people, what we do with other people, what contracts we go into with people, what contracts we fall out of with people, because the 7th house also represents divorce, you know, because it represents contracts, anything contractual. If you are one of the ones going through a divorce, you're steadily both planning. I don't see that though. I don't feel that energy here. This is different. This is also moving forward. I have to add something here for those of you who it's also about putting your investment into a partnership. So even if it's not financial, it's you're using, because remember, Pentacles is tangible, and tangibility represents our value, right? That's the crux of it. It's how we value ourselves, and our value, and the weight and the amount of respect that we put into our value system equals the dollar amount, if you will, or our investments, or whatever. Or it's a way to, it represents our values, what I'm trying to say. And so with the Knight of Pentacles, you may have made a decision, like, you know, and it is a form of taking it to the next level, but this is more tangible in the sense that you have decided, yes, okay, I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to invest my time and my energy into this partnership. All right, so the 8th house. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. So some of you are going into some deep relationships. This is you got the 2 of Cups. Isn't that gorgeous? I love the diversity in this deck. It's perfect, and it's perfect for a Saggy, right? Because as a Sagittarius, you appreciate that. You appreciate diversity, cultures, and whatnot. I love this 2 of Cups. So 2 of Cups is a union of 2 people, 2 thoughts, 2 hearts, emotion, two people, 2 minds coming together, physically coming together also. So when you have this happening in your 7th house, this is going to be very romantic. It doesn't have to be. The 2 of Cups doesn't only have to represent a romantic relationship. It can represent such a strong partnership with a business partner that it feels destined, karmic. It'll feel unified. It'll make you feel so like, oh, this is what I've been looking for. I am feeling heavy romantic energy here, but I am also feeling, you know, because of course this is collective, so it's going to be different for everyone. You'll know how it is for you because you'll know. But this here, oh my gosh, some of you are definitely thinking about merging with somebody, moving in with someone. Also, you know, yeah, possibly marriage here, moving in with someone. The 8th house is about intimacy, right? At its core, it's about intimacy. It's about the depth of depth, basically. So all the things that are hidden, the things that we don't necessarily see publicly about another individual. It does also represent death, the 8th house, but that's not at all how we're applying it here. It represents our taxes, our insurance, anything that we do with another person. So anything that we combine, where one is partnership, yes. Oh, sorry, partnership, 7th house. But then the 8th house is bringing whatever partnership you start in the 7th house, you merge it in the 8th house. Okay, so yes, you are coming into a relationship here with another person, whether it be business, whether it be romantic. It's going to be formalized, and you are going to open your heart, and you're going to feel right at home with this person. I love it. Yeah, and I apologize for that noise. I live in a building with very thin walls. Anyhow, so I'll come back to the 8th house. Let's move on to the 9th house. Where are you going? Where are you going, Saggy? The 3 of Wands. I mean, 3 of Wands this is great. I love this card. So the 3 of Wands is about, it follows the 2 of Wands, which the 2 of Wands is all about making a plan to go somewhere or do something or move forward with something. But the 3 of Wands is grabbing your board like she did, or grabbing your luggage, grabbing your passport for a lot of you, and actually moving forward with the plan. Not just making the plan, actually taking action, right? Because that's what Wands is. Wands is about taking your physical energy, moving forward with something. The 3 of Wands is all about exploring exploring other horizons. It's about going somewhere you've never been before. So this could be both metaphorically, but also literally. Like you could be traveling, you could be moving somewhere, right? Maybe you're going to go see your new honey that you just met, right? This person or partner that you just solidified something with here. Perhaps you're going to go get her, go get him, and meet them for the first time. Or for those of you who are not in this partnership, you're ready. You're ready to get out there. And perhaps this is where you're going to meet that other better half of yours. It doesn't have to be abroad, but usually in the traditional, you do see, it does look like it's a situation where you're going abroad to foreign land. It doesn't have to be, because foreign land to you may mean a mile over if you're a hermit like I am, right? But like for a lot of you, you are going to travel and you're ready to explore. And if it's not an actual literal traveling where you're moving, some of you also could be, because it's the 9th house. 9th house is, oh, I didn't tell you what that was. I'm sorry. So the 9th house is about foreign land. It's about foreign language on a more advanced level than the 3rd house. The 9th house is also about education and learning, higher learning on a higher level. The 8th house and the 9th house can be about learning esoteric arts as well. So you could be going somewhere to learn something. You could be going to a new school to learn a higher knowledge information, but it can just literally mean, I mean, the fact that you got the 3 of Wands in the 9th house, and the 9th house is about travel and foreign lands and foreigners and other cultures. I am going to say here that there are quite a few of you who are really heavily thinking. Also, some of you are learning new languages. Oh yeah, because then you got here in the 3rd house, which is preliminary learning, right? You have the Knight of Swords. So you are in your element of speaking here. So you're learning new languages and you're moving forward with that plan. This is gorgeous. Also, 9th house, by the way, is also high-level spirituality. It's where we become the teacher, where we've gone through these houses and we've mastered something, we've learned it, and now we're teaching it, right? So some of you can be going, getting yourselves out of your comfort zone to go teach something that you have mastered, or this teaching will make you a master. Also, this is a great place to meet quote unquote gurus. I'm not a fan of that guru word, but you get what I mean. This is a great time to also meet someone who's going to take you to that next level of your knowledge. This is really a great, I'm a Sag rising, so I'm kind of like, hey, this is actually kind of nice. So yes, even though I'm doing it for the sun sign, it applies, right? Because I am, your rising helps here. Okay, so let's move on to the 10th house. The 10th house, nice. The 10th house is all about our social standing in life. It's about our career. It's like the 10th house is at the top of the chart. So it's basically like the emphasis that we're here to do, right? So a lot of us can relate to our careers being there, especially if we are doing a career that is really showing that, especially if we're in the career that's really authentically who we are, right? Because some of us some people, sometimes we start off in, preliminary careers that ultimately lead us to another career that's more on our vibration and really what we're supposed to be doing. Not that we're only supposed to be doing one thing. I don't believe that. I don't think it's possible. I think we have a lot of missions here in a lifetime. However, I think you get what I'm saying. So the 10th house is basically like the thing that we're doing, the active thing that we're doing in social standing in front of others that is elevating our energy to that next level. And so you have the high priestess. So you are expanding. You are leveling up spiritually. The 10th house, when you have the high priestess is all about intuition. It's about the mysteries. It's about being mysterious too. But the spirituality level is so high. The high priestess is quiet. She's not talking about her spirituality. She's not shouting it to the world, although you have it in the 10th house, which is about presenting it to the world. So maybe you did come across some spiritual journey that now you want to talk about and the world is finding out, or you're getting into a career that more honestly aligns with who you are in your deeper self, that maybe you've kept a mystery and secret to yourself. I feel like you're discovering a side of yourself that you didn't know was there, that was even kept secret to yourself, that now you're going to start allowing yourself to pull it out and let it be seen. And in your work as well, because 10th house again is career. So also, by the way, the 10th house represents the paternal figure, right? So where the 4th house represented the maternal figure in your life, the 10th house represents the paternal figure in your life. So for those of you who have had, fathers or the paternal parent, it could have been your mother, whoever that was for you, you could be getting downloads from that person. You could be receiving information. You could be learning things that were once a secret about your father, grandfather, paternal figure that you never knew before. And now you're getting these downloads and information, either that person's telling you the information or you're finding it out elsewhere. But in any case, it's having an impact on you. And regardless if you're one of the ones who's experiencing or not, you are really feeling centered in that part of you that has been hidden from you for a while. Because the high priestess is the keeper of divine secrets, and not that it's secretive, it's more private and divinely private, right? And I've talked about this before in other readings where, there's a difference between being secretive and just being sacredly private, right? Like holding those things that are sacred to us close to the vest because we value them and prioritize them so much that we incubate them and take care of them. and this has come up for you again, before with the Page of Pentacles. So there are some things here. It could also be this new career that you're working on, this new business you're working on. It could mean also, could confirm. Remember, we're talking about keeping things, incubating them and keeping them, not really communicating about it a lot. So this is actually confirmation also to keep that as sacred as possible. Yeah, I'm so curious, but I know I just told you not to say anything. So I was going to say, leave it in the comments. Tell me what it is. But then that just kind of defeats the purpose, right? That I just said, keep it close to the vest. So don't tell me. So, okay, let's move on to the 11th house. Okay. Yeah. So a couple of things here. So the 11th house is a few things. Number one, it's our networks, the memberships that we belong to. So like if you belong to an astrology hub, that's what, that's where it would live. It's also our friendships, our community, not so much our close, tight relationships, but, and not our sibling relationships. This is just like our acquaintances, our friends, our buddies that we go hang out with, go have dinner with, go have a drink with when it's not COVID or when we don't have a pandemic, obviously. But, it's also about networks, meaning like when all types of networks that you can think of that can be like a scientific network. It could also be anything to do with, I'm losing my train of thought here, but it's anything to do with not science, but like computer networks and things like that. All of those things. You got the 8 of Wands. So I feel like also the 11th house is the house of hopes and wishes. It's about gains also. So it's about putting something out there, visualizing it, thinking about it, and then waiting for it to manifest in the 11th house, right? And it's interesting because we do have this card of intuition and intention here in the 10th house. So there's something that you have put into motion that affects or is affected by your networks of people, or coming into a new network of people in the 11th house. And you have the 8 of Wands here, which means full force, full movement forward. So whatever new community you're thinking of joining, whether it's literally like a physical new community, a new town, a new home, new groups of people, whatever that is, it's happening fast. And and Spirit is confirming, move forward. Move forward. It's okay. You are being, I'm getting that for like maybe 1 or 2, it's the opposite. It's you're kind of being held back, but there's a reason for that. Spirit is saying there's a reason for that. Just be patient, because when it comes time to move forward in that area, whether it's maybe you're creating a network of, I don't know, meetup or something that is significant and important to you. And when it's time to go towards, it's going to happen fast. So right now, you may not be feeling it moving forward, because Spirit is saying you may not think that this is going to happen right now. But when it happens, this whole movement of network, community, whatever this is, or windfall, or wish fulfillment, or manifestation of an intention that you put forth earlier in the wheel, it's going to happen so fast. You're not going to have time to think about it, plan for it, or do anything. So this is kind of like, just be mindful of that. And also there's a lot of energy there with friendships too, because the 11th house is friendships, right? Acquaintances, like we were saying. So there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of fire energy, there's a lot of action going on, a lot of activity, that kind of thing too as well. A lot of physical energy in terms of your friendships. Okay, so let's move on to the final card. Here we are. This is the 12th house. Before I flip the card over, let me tell you a little bit about the 12th house. 12th house is another house similar to the 8th house. It's a esoteric house. It's very hidden. It's one of my favorite houses, although, it's very Neptunian, very mysterious. Sometimes whatever lives in our natal chart, our actual natal chart in the 12th house, can give indications to the things that maybe we're not paying attention to because it's our own self-undoing. The 12th house is known as the self-undoing. It's also a very dreamy house, though. Thematically, like its overall theme is very much of fantasy worlds. It's a very poetic house. It's about being in our head space, being isolated, but not isolated in a lonely way, although depending on your natal chart, sometimes it does indicate loneliness. But the crux of it is creating in our mind in a dreamy way, right? But it also can mean, there are a few other things, but let's flip the card and see first where you land. Page of Swords. Beautiful. This is a beautiful card to get in your 12th house because the Page of Swords, and remember, you got the Page of Pentacles down here, and then you got the King of Swords. You are probably, or a large majority of you are definitely working on some writing. You're definitely writing something. And the Page of Swords, I just thought of someone I know. The Page of Swords could be, you could be writing for children. You could be, I'm a Sag rising and I'm actually working on 2 children's books currently. And you could be, because the page, remember we talked about it earlier, it's like kind of like the infant. It's not an infant, but kind of in the sense that they haven't mastered whatever this is yet. They're just getting started, right? They're the amateur, but it's the potential is there. The future potential and the opportunity is huge up ahead. So you're going into this thing with enthusiasm and optimism because you feel yourself in that energy. And so the Swords is all about writing, speaking, communicating. So remember what I said, the 12th house is like a very poetic house, like literally poets have heavy 12th house influence. So if you're getting the Page of Swords, you are being encouraged. If there's something you've been wanting to write about or speak about, communicate about in any way, even if you feel it's new for you, Spirit is saying you're just getting started in that realm. And remember, it's in the 12th house. So the beginning of it is ending for you in the 12th house, which means that it's maturation at the point where it begins to mature will start in the first house again, right? Because we're talking about cycles here. So this is beautiful because here you're going to get a time, again, we're going back to that word that I used earlier, incubation, right? Because 12th house is a big incubator as well. This is about keeping something to yourself. It's about really living in your heart, mind, spiritual space about it. And notice how she is alone. She has a couple of friends there. She's got the birds. She's got the light bulbs to symbolize, light bulb moment ideas. So you're gonna be also, if you're not actually physically writing something or communicating or creating a product that is that, you will have, because the 12th house also rules sleep, our sleeping patterns and all of that. So you could potentially in the middle of the night literally wake up with genius ideas. Like you might literally wake up with something so brand new, an idea that's so young and new that no one's actually approached it. If you do get that, make sure you get a tab, write a notepad, write down these ideas that come up because they're going to come up so fast for you. And you're going to have an opportunity here to work on something new, young, that maybe hasn't been done before. And you are, this is really, I'm getting a really good vibe from this, guys. Like, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to I know some of you you're working under the radar. I know what you're doing. You're working under the radar. And if you weren't sure, maybe this is your confirmation. Move forward with it. Okay. Also, by the way, I just, because 12 house is also, remember each house has so many themes, right? So apply it to how it relates to you. But the 12th house is also about those, like being abroad, different from the 9th house. The 9th house is a long-term journey. The 12th house is literally traveling, physically visiting foreign lands potentially. So a lot of you could be newly communicating with someone secretly, because it's the 12th house, who lives abroad. Yeah. I'm not But again, I'm just a Sag rising. I'm not a Sag sun. So, whew, I'm feeling very energized from your reading right now. And I hope you are too. I really very much enjoyed doing this reading, Sag. I started, as some of you know, I have a new channel here. I started these birthday readings with Scorpio last month. You're my second solar return. I think people are going to like it. I hope you like it. Please subscribe. It'll help the algorithm. It'll let YouTube know that you are interested, so that it'll, you know, put my video for other people to actually see it. And I'm super excited for you. You have like some good stuff. I'm just going to pull one last card here for your inner child. What your inner child needs from you. Page of Cups. Isn't that cute, this card for inner child? Wow. All right, Saggy. So Page of Cups. So your inner child is asking you to play. Your inner child is asking you to allow yourself to be a little bit infantile, if you will, because remember the page, we're talking the page again. The page is about being young in something, being an amateur. But in this case, I feel that your inner child, you have not, this funk that you were in has not allowed you to play. Or whomever you've been missing, or whatever stuff you've been going on or has been going on with you, has not allowed you to have fun. So go grab your bestie, whether it's your dog or your cat or your parrots, whatever you've got going on, and go have some fun. Yes, we can have fun on our own. Why not? Yes, I know there's a pandemic and you can't really go out and see your friends in the way that you used to, but your inner child really needs that right now. Your inner child's actually really screaming this out loud. Your inner child needs you to go play and actually speak to your inner child, right? Speak like that, like hold your inner child sacred in the way that he's holding that fish in that cup, that gold cup. Name your inner child, like baby whatever, like little Elena or whatever. I've never actually named my inner child, but yeah, go play, Saggy. I'm so happy and excited for you. I hope you liked this reading. Please share this reading. Please let your friends know about it. Let your friends know about my channel, and have a wonderful, wonderful solar return year.